with me. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Tamika. I was born in Brooklyn, New York. My dad was in the military at Fort Hamilton. For those of you Brooklynites or New Yorkers, I was born at Fort Hamilton, but I grew up in California. Go figure. I've lived in so many states. I've lived in St. Louis, let's go by cities and states. Let me take my retainer out because I can't talk and it sounds like this. I've lived in a lot of cities and states. Let's go through them. Born in Brooklyn, New York. After that, we moved to Germany. I don't remember where my dad was stationed, but my mother is German. So she went to stay with my grandma and my oma and my opa, my grandmother and my grandfather. Did I just say my grandmother and my grandfather? My oma and opa are my grandmother and my grandfather in Germany. And then we went to Michigan after that. And then we ended up at Fort Riley, Kansas. And then from there, my dad got out of the military and we moved to St. Louis, Missouri, or as I call it, Misery. I liked St. Louis. It wasn't the worst place ever. It's just very, very slow. A slow pace, slow lifestyle, slow everything. Everything is slow. Then from there, I moved to California with my mother and brother. Dad stayed in Missouri. My parents separated. Look at that. Scary, huh? And I pretty much grew up in California until I was 21. And at that time, there were chat rooms. And I met a guy from Columbus, Ohio. And we talked for probably about a year, long distance. And then he attempted to move to California. He came to live there. And he absolutely, positively hated it. So he went back to Columbus. He hated LA. He hated the traffic. He didn't like the people. He didn't like a lot of things about California. So he went back to Columbus and we continued the long distance relationship. And at that point he had put a ring on it. Smart, right? So then I moved to Columbus, Ohio. I actually really liked Columbus. I didn't mind it. It was definitely slower than Los Angeles, very slow. That took some getting used to. But I didn't mind it because I was kind of used to it from St. Louis. And it was definitely faster paced than St. Louis, Missouri, but it wasn't as fast paced as Los Angeles. And there was hardly any traffic. So I lived in Columbus for 3 years. So from 2003 to 2006. And then I ended up moving to Las Vegas. Well, actually I went back from Columbus, Ohio. I went back to LA. And LA had changed so much in that 3-year time period. I didn't even recognize it anymore. And I remember really being unhappy. And I thought, well, there were a lot of regulations and things. Like, I was a smoker at the time. I smoked cigarettes. And they had these laws where you couldn't smoke outside and you couldn't smoke in front of a business and it had to be so many feet. And you couldn't smoke in your car and you couldn't do this and you couldn't do that. And I just kept feeling like boxed in. Like I can't do anything here anymore. And at the time, my dad lived in Las Vegas, Nevada, which is about 4 hours from LA. And he said to me, why don't you come to Vegas? And I said, Dad, Las Vegas, there's nothing there except for desert and casinos. Why would I ever move there? And he said, there's an entire life outside of the Las Vegas Strip for the locals. And he said, I'll tell you what, I'll send you a plane ticket. If you absolutely hate it, then I'll get you a plane ticket back home. I was single. I didn't have anything holding me back. So I thought, okay, I'll take him up on that offer. So on April 1st, 2006, I moved to Las Vegas. And as soon as I got off the airplane, I loved it. I loved the energy and the people, and it was thriving at that time. I mean, there were 10,000 people moving there every month during that time. They couldn't keep up with like housing and building. They were building, and it was thriving, and the business and the economy was great, and blah, blah. It was perfect until it wasn't. So I lived in Las Vegas from April 1st, 2006 until February 2nd or 3rd of 2011. And I was sad to leave. And Las Vegas had gone downhill so much in that time. I remember when my husband and we left Las Vegas, and it looked really sad. There were businesses closing, the economy was down, all those 10,000 people that were moving there every month, they were going back home. And we ended up moving to Golden Valley, Arizona. Doesn't that just sound like tumbleweeds, like in the distance in the desert? Golden Valley. It might sound cute. It was not the cutest place. It was just desert, and the main road in Golden Valley was like a highway. It reminded me of, you know that movie Cars? That kids movie Cars? 1, 2, 3, with Mater and Lightning McQueen. A lot of that was, part of it was filmed on like Route 66, Kingman, Arizona, Golden Valley, Bullhead City. It's all the same, very similar, very, very similar. So that's that. And now I live in close to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I never thought I'd live here. It's a different world. I'm like a fish out of water. But having grown up in LA and now living here, I can see that this is like the true America. And what I mean when I say that is that this is like what I think of when I think of America. This is it. The people, the lifestyle, when they talk about, Joe the plumber or whatever, that's this is it. Like, this is the America that you think of when you think of like small town USA. And there's something sweet and cute about that. There's Hollywood and New York and California and Los Angeles and like all the big cities. And then you have small town USA, which still counts for something. Like, that is America also. And I kind of love it. I love it a little bit. Sometimes I miss home. You know what I miss about California? Authentic Mexican food. Every person that I talk to that's from California, that lives here, or that I come in contact with, whether they're from Northern California or Southern California, like if they're from San Francisco or LA or San Diego, we all miss the same things. We miss tacos, authentic Mexican tacos. And the thing is, we have Mexican restaurants here, but it's like, it seems like the Mexicans don't know how to make like Tijuana street tacos. They don't know how to make them. It's not even the same thing. And sometimes they put this white sauce, the Blanco sauce, on like burritos and stuff. I don't want any part of that. Keep that negativity to yourself. I just want carne asada that tastes like fresh and that's juicy and has good flavor. And then I want some onions and cilantro on it. That's it. And in California, they put this red sauce, like a spicy red sauce on the tacos. If you want that, they will put it on there. And then they give you a side of like pickled, they're like pickled carrots. And then you eat that with your tacos. And it's like, it's got that spice, but it kind of tastes like carrots. And then you get sliced radishes, like real thin sliced radishes. And that way, if the food is too spicy, you eat a radish and it kind of neutralizes that spice, that hot, spicy taste. And they don't do that here. I mean, how hard is it to just get me some pickled carrots? They're just sliced carrots. They're whole, like sliced. And they're pickled and they're so good. And then just get me some sliced radishes to like neutralize the spice. I feel like that goes hand in hand, and they just don't do it here. I didn't know that they don't do it. I thought everybody does it. So my husband and I, we met in Las Vegas. He's from Pennsylvania. He moved out there because he was in construction, and they were building because, you guessed it, 10,000 people moving there a month. And his mother lived in Arizona. And so that's how we ended up in Golden Valley. It's only about an hour and a half from Las Vegas. So it might sound like it's far because it's another state, but it's not. And then we ended up moving to Pennsylvania in 2013, February 16th. Yeah, February 16th, 2013. Been here over 10 years. That was not the plan. The plan was to be here for 3 years and then go back out west because we like the warm weather. But life happens, and then you end up being here for 10 years. So that's that. But eventually we will get to warmer weather. Warm weather, palm trees. I miss the palm trees. I like to go to the beach. I like to have the option to go to the beach. I don't really go to the beach ever. When I live somewhere that has a beach, I never go. But I want to say that I have the option to go. So if I just randomly decide one day that I want to go to the beach, I want to have that option. I have 3 beautiful children, twin boys that are 12 and 3/4, and a 2-year-old daughter that is like, she's 2 going on 50. She's sassy. She is hell on wheels. If I had to describe her personality, it would be like a biker with like the Oakley sunglasses and then like a long gray beard. Gray, because like, remember I said 50 years old? And so like a long gray beard that like it gets pointy, and then like a leather jacket, and he's got like muscles real big, like you don't want to mess with this guy. And he's got a cigarette hanging out of his mouth, and he's got like a mustache or like kind of like a goatee thing going on. And then like, don't mess with me. That's my daughter. It's scary. What else can I tell you about me? Let's see. I am half German, half black. I have 3 children. I worked in the retail industry, retail management, for a very long time. Not quite half of my life, but very, very close. And I'm 42. So a lot of my experience is based on managing people, and anymore I think that managers in general are just adult babysitters. I mean, that's really what it is. You're managing adults, little people that just grew up, and based on their home training, you're managing them. That's pretty much it. That sums it up. And some people can manage themselves, very few, very, very few. And now being a parent, I mean, like being a mother, I see that you have to prepare your children to be able to function as an adult. So from a very young age, my twin boys, I taught them, like, clean up after yourself. Don't leave, like when you eat food and then you leave your plate on the table, like, take it to the sink. You can do that. That's not hard. Their friends come over and they're the same age. These are 12-year-old boys. They don't clean up after themselves. It's amazing to me. Some of them do not clean up after themselves. They don't say please and thank you. There was a young man that went into my refrigerator and we had to have a talk. That to me is so disrespectful. I always teach my boys, you don't go into other people's refrigerator. If you would like a beverage or food, you can ask, but you don't ever go into someone's refrigerator. It's rude and it's disrespectful. Well, I could go on for days about myself, as most people can, but I think I'm going to stop here. I'm just going to touch up my eyebrow a little bit. Make it look like I have a little bit of eyebrows. How do I look? I need lipstick, something. But it came together quite nicely. I would say so. I'm big on manners and etiquette. I'm very big on manners and etiquette. Yes, please. Thank you. Those are manners. May I? Big thing for me is, so when you ask for something, instead of saying can I, say may I. So when I met my husband, we would go through the drive-through at McDonald's or you name it, doesn't matter, fast food restaurant. And he was so rude. Oh my gosh. So he would go through the line and they'd say, hi, welcome to Wendy's. How, what can I get for you? Or what, I forget what they say. And he'd say, can I get a blah, 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 whatever it is? And they'd say, sure, is that all? I'm not done yet. Like, he was just very rude. And I always was very aware of my words and my tone, because they can't see your face. So it's almost like being on the phone. Like, you can't, all you hear is a voice. You can't see the person. And I know that back in the day, at least, people would spit in your food if you were like rude or nasty. And he would be considered rude or nasty. He never said thank you when he like grabbed his food. He'd pay, he'd throw the money at them. He'd grab his bag when they handed him the bag of food. He'd grab it and just drive away. I said, say thank you. It just was a very unpleasant experience. So I'm very cautious of saying please and thank you. And when you order your food, may I have, thank you. When they give you the total, thank you. Pull around to the next window. It's just common courtesy. That's all. I'm very aware of that and how other people behave. And then etiquette goes into also common courtesy, but Etiquette is more of just following some of the things that make you a better person. It's not about societal norms and things like that, but etiquette, like texting etiquette. When you're in a group text and there's that person that's constantly talking and chatting and sending stuff, and it's like, it's very disruptive to everyone else's day, keeping it to a minimum. It's simple things, very simple things, but it all comes down to home training. By the way, this video is brought to you by, it was suggested by Lee Lou Dooley. I hope I'm saying that right. Leeloudoullee. Lee Lou Dooley. He suggested that I share, I'm assuming it's a he. Lee could be a girl's name. Lee Lou Dooley suggested that I share more of my routine, either morning routine or evening routine. So here you have it. I shared a little bit about myself, and voila. Cheers.